Hello, my name is Rich Howard, and this project that we're going to use the CNC machine for is creating custom ceiling tiles for a client. Okay, so we're going to continue with the drawing process, and I've stepped away for about 48 hours. So what I want to do first is dimension these so I know where I'm going to put my guidelines in VCarve, actually. Let's take a look. Dimension. Okay, so I've got 11/16 on that. Then I know I've got 3/8 there. Drag that down a little bit. You'll have to forgive this garish drawing, but it does reasonably serve as evidence of what's happening, even though that this stuff's a bit goofy. Let it be known that I'm not a quick user of AutoCAD, but nonetheless, it does allow me to see my dimensions, even though it's a sloppy drawing. Nothing a little practice wouldn't take care of. So we know that we've got a 3/8 offset everywhere. We've got uh, in the horizontal steps, the vertical steps are going to be 3/16. Okay, so here, here, and here. Okay, so allows me to visualize what I did because I haven't touched this in 2 days. Three-quarter thick, okay. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Okay, now that we've got this, we have kind of an idea of what these dimensions are going to look like. I'm going to take the AutoCAD and simply move it, and we'll pull up VCarve, come back to our drawing. Okay, so the thing to do now is to draw guidelines for where our pocketing tool paths are going to occur. So if you recall, we're going to bring a guideline here to 11/16, another one here at 1 1/16, 1 7/16. And it'll be really easy to do that because of our relative to guide trick. So we're going to click, I'm just going to focus in on one ceiling tile because my intent is to copy once I build it once. So we're going to create a new guide, relative, one guide, and we're going to offset it 0.6875, create new guide. Okay, that gives us the first guide. Now I'm going to create two guides that are going to be offset 0.3875. And what my intent is with that, to bring AutoCAD back over, is I've got now a guideline here. I'm going to create one here and here for those two guides. So create new guides. And there they are. Close. So this is our outside profile. This is our first guide. Something's not good on that one. What do we do there? Let's study this. Something doesn't seem to make sense. This should be 3/8. So here's our first. Let's create another one. So this dimension is 11/16. Let's create one more. Well, first of all, I had the dimension wrong. It's not 0.3875, it's 0.375. Boy, that'll make your finished product wrong. So 0.375. Oh, you know why? Because what am I doing? Am I referencing off? I'm referencing off the original guide. That's the problem. Okay, so off of the new guide, there was a populated dimension there that seemed strange. Okay, that guide seems weird. Let's create a new guide. Relative, quantity 1, 0.6875. Create new guide. Okay. Now I'm still referenced on the original guide, and that's where my mistake was. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to highlight the new guide, create guide, create new guide, relative to guide, quantity 2. Now these are at 375, which is 3/8. Create new guides. Okay, that looks more like what I expected to see when we're over here. I've got a guide for here. I've got a guide for here, here and here. I've got a guide for here and one for here. Okay, awesome. So now what we need to do is to do that on this side here. Now this time, relative to guide, quantity 1, we're going to enter negative 0.6875, create new guide, close, because I'm not doing the math in my head to offset them from the original guide by the additional amount. Relative to guide, quantity 2, negative 375. Create new guides. There they are. Is that right? Yeah. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we should have 4. Perfect. Close. Okay. So now we need to create those same guides from this vantage point and from this vantage point. You can turn on and off the guides by that little button up in the top. So let's get to that. Let's create new guide, relative 1.6875. Create new guide. Perfect. Close. Relative to guide quantity 2, 375. Create new guides. Awesome. Close. Down from here. So relative quantity 1, negative 0.6875. Oh, you know what? I think you can do simple math in this. Actually, I'm quite sure that you can. Let's try it. I think it needs to be parenthesis and minus 0.375. Close parenthesis equal. Yes, that worked. Create new guide. I guess that will only work one time. Or actually, I can take that sum, home, parenthesis, and minus 0.375, close parenthesis equal, create new guide. Ah, okay. Yeah, that worked. Yeah, I saw that in a video somewhere. Not somewhere online. So let me check that with our measuring tool here, just so I have a level of comfort that I did that correctly. I've never done that before. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. 375. So I'm getting that in the upper right-hand corner is where this up here is where I'm getting that. And then this one. Yeah, perfect. That worked. So now what's neat is I have guidelines for the first cell completely, and they're partially done for the second cell. My intention is to copy polylines. So I'm not going to draw any more guidelines. And in fact, I could easily get rid of the rest of the guidelines, but just don't see a reason to do so. So what my intent is that we're going to create 3 pocketing tool paths. I'll do the inner one first. What I mean by that is I will do the inner path, the inner pocket first, from the material surface down here, which dimension is 9/16, if I've got that correct. Yeah, 9/16. And what I did earlier was properties. I made that a little bit smaller, 0.125, and then offset. That's less confusing, I suppose. So I'm preferring to pull up these dimensions. So I know that my pocket is need to be 20 and 15/16 by 9/16. So when I get that drawn, I can confirm that with my dimension tool here over to here, upper right hand corner, indeed 20 and 15/16. Then from here, there's a way to keep the tool active, I believe. Yeah, it's square. And of course, the height I can't judge here because I'm doing this in 2D. So what we're going to do is pull up the toolpath half. Let's pin that. Let's create a pocket toolpath. But first, of course, I've got to create a vector. So we're going to draw a line, polyline. I'm going to start down here because I'm going to want it to start as close to 0, 0 as possible. And go here. I've been told, get good at scrolling, zooming in and out. Right mouse button exits out of there. So now I should turn off the guidelines. Now I've got a vector that's closed. Awesome. So now from here I can create a pocketing toolpath. I don't want to use a 3/8 end mill. What I'd like to use is my surfacing bit. I didn't buy it for this purpose. I bought it to T-slot items, but I'm finding that it works. It's an Amana 45662, and I'm going to see if I have this in my tool library. Select surfacing end mill. Yeah, I do. Amana 45662 inch and 3/8, cutter diameter 1 and 3/8, 2 flute, pass depth is 50 thousandths, step over 18,000 RPM. That seems awfully fast. Let's take a look at something here.
If you've made it this far into this video, you must be determined to see it through to the end, and we appreciate your hanging in there with us and watching this entire video.
Four, 5, 6, 6, 2. Yeah, that's my concern. They're not right for plunging. Because of the shape, it can't plunge. I may be able to have it ramp in, but it's not, I'm not comfortable having it nowhere to ramp. Well, you know what we'll do is we'll play with it. Let's see what happens. But the point of the point of that exercise was what's the RPM? I'm going to abandon the idea of using this bit because when I use it to surface my spoil board, what I'm doing is I'm starting off the edge of the spoil board. I'm not starting on top of it. And because this item is not, it's not going to plunge because of its shape. That's the problem. And what I mean by that is you can see in the design it can't plunge, but it's not going to work. So we're gonna keep our end mill. I don't know if I have a larger end mill, and the reason I'm thinking about the bit is I don't want to be here till uh, the 23rd century. Yeah, I just don't have a half-inch diameter end mill. So the 3/8 end mill is what we're running with. Had I thought about this up beforehand, I would have brought in a larger bit, is what I'm driving at. Because I'm going to be pocketing with a 3/8 bit, and I've got 20 and 15/16 on the first pass. So discard. Okay, so we're going to leave that. Now our start depth, we'll make that 0. Our cut depth, now this is where AutoCAD comes in again. If you recall, I could be doing it on a calculator, but if you recall, it's 9/16 of an inch. So we're going to make this 5/625. Yeah, we'll raster cut that. Plunge, ramp, plunge moves, 3 inch, okay. Safe Z is 0.2 inch. Yeah, that would be fine. Now, it's defaulting at 2 passes. I don't think there's any reason to change 2 passes in MDF.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video.
Let's move on to the rest of the video. So what I'm doing is setting a last pass. It's my understanding that a last pass is going to potentially make it cleaner. I've not experimented with that, but we're going to do that now. Pass 1 is at 4, 8, 9/32 of an inch. We're just going to experiment, see what happens. But I'll put a clean last pass on there, which is basically 25 thousandths. So we'll say pocket 1, inner, we'll call it, and calculate. Yeah, looks about right. Speed that up a little bit. So it's doing the first pass, obviously. Second pass. Third pass, and I sped it up even more. Okay. We're going to have a radius corner, obviously, 3/16. I did think about a smaller diameter bit to give me a tighter corner. I just don't think it's going to be a problem. If I don't like the design of what this is going to be, or is not what the client wants, so to speak, we'll make a modification. I'll do a tool path with a much smaller bit, then come in and pocket the rest. We'll see. So what you can see here is in this area here, when I put my mouse over it, you can see where the mouse is in relationship to the X and Y, but also in the Z, it's saying negative 0.5625, 9/16. So that's exactly what I wanted to see. So that looks like it's going to work. That's the first tool path. Now we'll go back to the 2D view, and we're going to draw another polyline. Well, that's not what we want to do. No, we're doing this in reverse order. So what I mean by that is we're doing it backwards. In the sense of I don't want to do the inner one first. I want to do the outer one and go only down to the 3/16 step and then continue to step in and then give a last pass on the third innermost pocket. So this tool path is wrong. If I did it in this order, I would pocket all of this. Then I would be air cutting the majority of the second step. So it's okay. It's just simply a delete this. It's just simply an exercise. I still have my vector, and that's okay. I'm going to leave the vector. Let's actually delete the vector. Okay, so let's start over from the outermost pocket, which is going to be here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's do that. Nope. Node editing mode. Bring it up to here where it's supposed to be. We're going to have to check these lines to make sure I've got them in the right location. Turn off the guides. I'm going to select these and I'm going to group them. I'm used to typing in group. There it is. Okay. So I've grouped that. Okay, that's fine. So now we have a vector. Let's throw our guidelines back on. Yeah, looks good. So we're going to draw the 3 stepped pocketing tool paths, and at the end we're going to draw the profile is what we will to cut the piece out of the solid piece of MDF. So let's draw, well, actually, no, let's close that. Let's do our pocketing toolpath. Now, this is where we have to think about, we'll have to have AutoCAD back up so I remember the dimensions. Okay, so we're on the outer unit. We know that we're going to go 3/16 down, and then we'll have to get a dimension on how wide that pocket's going to be. So let's dimension that. It's going to go from here to here. Drag that down. 22 and 7/16 is what it's going to be. Actually, I don't have that lined up really well. Yeah, we got it. 22. Yeah, 22 and 7/16. It was giving me a dimension that wasn't exactly what I expected. But yeah, so it's 22 and 7/16 wide and 3/16 deep. So let's put that aside, literally. We've got our vector highlighted. Let's pocket a toolpath. The cut depth is going to be 0.1875. One pass is going to be perfect for this, I think. We're going to raster. Outer pocket. 22 7/16 by 3/16. I'm going to name it that. I'm not sure why I'm putting it in imperial and metric or decimal. Outer pocket. Okay, calculate. 2 open vectors are identified in the selection are being ignored. Some or all of the open vectors are in groups. Grouping open vectors does not join them. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's just redraw it. Okay. Yeah, this 24, and then it was I pinched that guideline by mistake. So that's going to be 11/16. So that guideline needs to be 23 and 4 5/16. Right mouse button, 23, 3125, apply. That didn't work. Relative minus 0.6875. Okay, I see what I'm doing. I actually have the guide already there. Relative 23.8125. Close. Okay, I've got I've got guidelines for what I'm doing. Okay, so let's back to where we were. When I undid the operation, I undid the vector that I drew, or the polyline. So let's draw a polyline. Let's get to here, to here. Okay, we've got a polyline. Looks like it's in good shape. We know that it's supposed to be 22 and 7/16, and then 3/16. So let's maybe do a reality check on that. Yeah, looks good. Let's go vertically. Yeah, looks good. Okay, and the depth we can't check. We'll check it in our 3D view though. So let's turn off the guidelines. Let's select it. We know we're doing a cut depth of 3/16. It'll be one pass. We will raster cut it. And based on the compression end mill, I'm going to want to flime cut this because of the orientation of twist, so to speak, on the end mill. We have a name for it. We've got a depth. Our vector gives us the x and the y dimension, and we will calculate. Well, let's see what we get. Okay. All right. So we put our cursor in here, and you can see down here we've got 3/16 depth. Okay, so I'm satisfied with that. Let's close. Let's bring in our guidelines. Let's draw our second vector. All right, I like that one. Turn the guidelines off just for the sake of viewing this. Now let's select this vector. 21 and 11/16 by 21 11/16. I could just dimension that quickly in AutoCAD. Actually, why don't I? Why wouldn't I? So now we're in this vector, or in this second step area, here, over to here. I'll drag it down. Yeah, 21 and 11/16. So I'm liking that. All right, we've got it highlighted. Now let's create a pocketing toolpath. Now this time we're going to want 3/8 deep because we're going in another 3/16. We've already cut to this depth. Now we're going to go to this depth, and it's going to be 3/8 plus 3/8. I can draw that, dimension that. If I extended this dimension line over, it's going to come over to here. So we're good. That's 3/8 deep. So we're going to change this to 375. Same bit. We're going to climb cut. We're going to raster cut. The other dimensions are good. Our safe C is okay because we're starting from the top. I could be giving it a start depth of, let's go 0.15. So it's hanging off the top of that area ever so slightly. So I'm basically going to be dropping the bit down is what I expect to have happen slightly. What I don't know is where is C referenced? Well, it's got to be from the top of the material. What I'm concerned with is, are these cumulative? Will these be added and give me a deeper cut depth? I'm going to leave it at 0 for now, and I'm going to test that at some point in the future, is what I'm going to do. I realize we're going to be doing a lot of air cutting here, but we're going to test that. So we're going to climb cut, we're going to raster. This is going to be middle pocket 21.6875 and then 0.375. Calculate. Oh, you know what? We will play with that right now and see what it gives us. Let's preview all tool paths. It's giving us the outer one. It may be looking right, but we're going to figure it out as soon as it's done. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, it's good. So my mouse is in here and it's at 3.375 down here, and then over here it's at 316. So I'm liking that. That is the intended look. Okay, 2D mode. Let's bring back our guidelines. Let's draw our final polyline. Well, not our final polyline. It'll be a little bit easier now because we've got stuff to go off of. Beautiful. Escape. Let's center that work. Let's get rid of the guidelines. Let's select that newest vector. Let's close. Pocket. 0.5625. I'm going to climb cut. Raster. Name. This is going to be inner pocket. Now we know that this one's going to be 20.9375 by 3/16 times 3 is 9/16. Calculate. Let's preview selected toolpath. Yeah, that's a problem because it's making multiple passes now and it's air cutting so much of it. So we're going to experiment with the start depth on that. I just want to be sure first. Okay, so it did it in 2 passes, but this time what I want to do is here, it's highlighted, pocket, edit passes. I want to set a last pass, 0.025, apply. Because it's my understanding that last pass gives a cleaner cut. And I don't have experience with it, but that's what I believe it to be. All right, what I want to do is copy this. I want to rename it. I want to copy it. I now want to edit that tool. I want to change the passes. Set last pass, 0.025, apply. Okay. I'm going to name it. Oops. I'm going to name it my inner pocket. I'm going to calculate. Now it gives it to me at the bottom, and this one I'm going to go back and delete. I think I deleted the right one. No, actually, yeah, we're gonna experiment with that. Reset preview. So it's my understanding it's doing it in the order in which the tool paths occur. So we're doing the outer pocket first, the shallowest depth. We're doing the inner pocket next, which is deeper. And then it should come back and do, Let's see what it does. All right, not what I expected to see there. What are we seeing? We're seeing the inner pocket, which is highlighted. Let's reset the preview. Preview all toolpaths. Second. Oh, okay, so it unchecked. You may have noticed that it unchecked that. Let's see if it unchecks the second one when it completes the middle pocket. Oh, it does. Yeah, okay. So it unchecked that. Now we're running and we're air cutting. So that's why you're not seeing any movement of a tool because we're literally too high in the air on the first pass. This is the second pass. Last pass, really thin pass.
If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video.
All right, looks right. Mouse here, 9/16, mouse here, 3/8, mouse here, 3/16. Okay, doesn't look awful. Now, the final thing I want to do is a profile path. So let's go back to our 2D. Let's bring in our lines. The last thing we're going to do is make a profile path, and that's going to be on the outside. We do have a vector highlighted here. That's why it looks that way. Escape. Bring in our lines. Now, our profile paths here to here. Something's not right with that. Because that, yeah, okay. I didn't draw the line right. And what tipped me off was the dimension was showing 23 3/4. And I know that these panels are 23 13/16. So let's try it again. That looks good. Here, here. Let's highlight only that vector. Close. So now we want to breach through the material. And our material is 0.759, if you recall. So profile toolpath, cut depth, 0.759. There's got to be a calculator function in this. I don't know where it is. 0.759 plus 0.015. 0.774. Great. 0.774. Now it's going to tell me I'm going to breach through, but that's okay. I've got my spoil board underneath. Now we got our same end mill. Machine vectors outside to the right or inside to the left. Well, we want to be to the right of the line. And we're going to change it to climb cut again. And we want to be on the outside of our line. We're going to say no to tabs at this time. We're going to ramp into it. Go with a 3-inch ramp. Profile. 23 and 13/16 by 23 and 13/16. Let's calculate. Okay, yeah, that's normal. It's telling us it's going to cut through by 0.015. Let's preview the selected toolpath. So it made it in 2 cuts, which is fine. And you can do a last pass on this as well. You can see this time it breaches through. You can do a last pass on this as well. The issue I have is I've got this MDF sitting on top of a sheet of MDF and then the spoil board where the plenum is underneath. I don't know if this is going to move We're going to find out. Actually, what I'd like to do is close this. I'm going to edit the quantity of passes. I'm going to do it in 3 passes. I'm going to set a last pass at 0.0. Well, wait a minute. What I want to do is put the least amount of stress on the materials I'm cutting through it at the end. Calculate, yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll take this, rename, Control C, this, we'll rename, Control V, we'll delete this one. Because it's creating a copy every time you make a modification. Reset, preview, preview selected toolpath. Okay, well, let's do this. Reset preview, preview all toolpaths. Let's let that run. Now we'll speed it up just to get it done. That doesn't seem right. What do we do there? It's got to have, what do we do there? Let's figure it out. All right, so let's figure out what we did wrong on that profile. Close. Sure what's cutting through there. Let's close that. All right, so we've got that profile in the wrong place. Wonder why. Ah, because I must have highlighted the wrong vector. That's the vector that we need to profile. So I highlighted the wrong vector is what I did. All right, so let's rename. Let's Control C. Let's delete this. Let's highlight only the vector that we want. Close. Profile. Got the right depth, retain that, right bit. We're going to climb cut on the outside to the right. Ramp, 3-inch. We save that. Project toolpath onto 3D model. Let's do that. Give it its name. Calculate. It's going to cut through. We know that. Okay. Yeah, it looks right. Looks better anyway. So now what? Let's preview all toolpaths. Okay, that looks right. Oh, never mind. I selected only the one, but it looks like it's only giving me 2 passes. So let's close that. Oh, wait a minute. I did want to edit that. And we're going to tweak this as we go. Calculate. Yes. Saved a new version of it. Rename. Control C. Delete this. Rename. Reset. Let's preview the selected toolpath. It's only showing me the one that's I highlighted. That's 2 passes now. Coming up, 3. And the reason I'm doing this is I don't want the board to shift much while I'm cutting it. Because I don't have a great idea yet on how I'll fixture this. I'm probably going to have to add tabs, would be my guess. So that gave me the profile. So let's select all. And let's preview all toolpaths. It's doing the first one. And as my instructor, Chris Burns, said, basically 3D model it, double check it, triple check it. If it looks wrong here, it's going to be wrong on the machine. I don't know that those were his words, but that's certainly his message. And then air cut, air cut, air cut, air cut. And I don't know a lot about Chris, and Chris Burns may have been like employee number one at ShopBot, but his knowledge is complete about the subject matter. And the last time, I don't see that we're cutting anything here. Oh, because we're air cutting that part. I don't, what impressed me the times that I've been with him, here's a fella who's been playing with or making a living with, I shouldn't say playing, I meant that in a very deferential way, making a living utilizing his deep knowledge, and that's our very thin last pass of CNC for decades. And it impresses me how much he models it before he cuts. He does everything in 3D preview. He's air cutting. He's doing nothing until he's sure it works. Now our profile, and that is our finished ceiling tile. Look at that. Okay, let's move forward.